Hey everyone, it's David. I just finished watching the Sony press conference for E3, and I thought I would tackle one of the ones on my list. It is number, let's see here, it's number, oh my goodness, it's way down there, 179. So I thought I watched all of the press conferences today. Microsoft, EA, Ubisoft, and Sony all had their E3 press conferences today, and I thought I'd just give some reactions. My main hope, as I said yesterday, was hoping for a sequel to Mirror's Edge. That didn't come. Instead, during the EA press conference, they decided to go with a new Battlefield subscription service, which I'm not really sure what that's going to be about, but I hope for the best. And then, well, it started off with Microsoft, and it seemed like they wanted to show the majority, middle of their thing, between Halo 4, and I can't remember what happened at the end, so it's utterly forgettable. They wanted to push hardware, so a lot of the Kinect, this cross-platform stuff, which I have my iPhone, and I don't know how I'm going to use it. It's Apple versus PC right now, so I'm going to see what happens with their cross-platform stuff. I know EA does a lot with iPhone games stuff, but not really Microsoft. But they were pushing more hardware, which is to be expected since they're a hardware company after all. They're the Xbox providers. But one of the cool things that I thought was their sports. And I'm not a big sports person, but they showed people yelling at the ref during their sports thing, especially during the soccer, and they actually had to bleep it out, and I thought that was kind of a cool, interesting thing, and my brother, who was at home at the time, said that that would be all he would do. So I'm looking forward to that. They're really pushing Halo 4 was another thing. They kept kind of like hinting at it every now and again that they got it. But the theme was, they didn't really pull any surprises. No punches were really pulled. Nothing big that surprised the audience. I imagine going to one of these, you'd go in like, oh, I'm such a fanboy, and you'd leave like the biggest cynic of all time because it's so scripted and so like vetted PR-wise that nothing, like not a word was out of place during all of this, except maybe during Ubisoft, but I'll get to that in a second. But there was nothing new, and that's the theme for all of these. There was nothing new, nothing that hadn't been announced or wasn't a sequel. So like the biggest thing was that they announced that they were partnering with the UFC, I believe, and that was predictable. It was the only thing they hadn't really done yet. And then came EA. I said I wanted Mirror's Edge 2, but I got this subscription for Battlefield. Some Lara Croft stuff in there, which looks okay. I'm interested to see Lara Croft not being a sexy femme fatale, more of a younger person. And they didn't need the sports guys. They kept getting, Microsoft and EA got these sports people out there, and as he left he was like, you know, you got the coolest job in the world, right? And I was just like, we all know that, but he just didn't understand like video game, and getting people on there don't really know. Like Usher was at Microsoft's one, and I was like, they just needed a musical break apparently because it wasn't for Dance Central 3 or anything like that. And it was a short press conference. EA had a short one. It was only like an hour long. The others were an hour and a half. Almost some of them passed the hour and a half mark, but EA just went for like an hour and then just stopped. Like they didn't have that much show. I was surprised. Ubisoft came. Aisha Tyler hosted, who is Lana Kane on Archer, and I was like, wow, good choice. They were trying to make her funny. Sort of. They also had Toby Turner from YouTube. Way to go, Tobescus. And he was really cool, and I always like what he does. It seemed like he was kind of held back. They kept being like, don't be Toby Turner, be PR Toby Turner. And Aisha Tyler, she had a funny gay joke at the beginning, and I laughed about that. And Splinter Cell, they came out with Splinter Cell, and I have Splinter Cell around here somewhere. And I loved the last game. It had a few bugs and stuff, but it looked like they were, like, I was watching it and all of the movement stuff seemed a lot like Assassin's Creed, like the past Assassin's Creed, like he was climbing the wall and he was jumping up and taking a guy and throwing him down, which I was like, they just borrowed Assassin's Creed coding for that. So again, nothing really new there. And then came Sony, and Sony had a really good new one, which I was like, Sony, way to go. Ending it high with Ellen Page as this like psychokinetic kind of girl. Very spot on there, and I was like, if anything's gonna make make me really like reevaluate video games, that's gonna be it. Like Ellen Page doing voice acting, and like she looks like Ellen Page, this girl. They mentioned PSN, which was another thing, because they had that whole PSN scandal with hacking, and right before it was on G4, and one of the hosts was like, "Yeah, I know you don't buy PSN. You have to go out and buy them at the store because you don't trust them with your information." I was like, "That's some stuff that they're gonna have to work on this year." And they had, I'll give it to them, they had some really good points. But overall, it wasn't really spectacular. Sony was the only thing with anything new. They also had that Avengers game that is coming out, which is okay, and they have the Super Smash Brothers kind of title that's coming out. I don't really think they need it because I think they're kind of above that, but we'll see how it goes, and I'm hoping for the best. Also, where was BioShock's sequel? BioShock Infinite, I've been hearing a lot about, so maybe I'll hear something about it too. Crisis 3 was really good. I'm interested in seeing how they're going to implement Crisis 1 and Crisis 2 together into one game. Kind of a urban rainforest was how they were describing it. Now I'm curious to see how they do that. And then Halo 4, they were just pushing it, and I heard that word so many times over the course of the day in the feed, in the news. They just kept talking about it. And Borderlands got the little Guinness Book of World Records thing in there. So lots of cool stuff. I'm hoping rest of the week will be fun. I'm keeping my fingers crossed, but I'm not expecting anything after, like, it was just, I almost fell asleep. But in fact, I think I fell asleep during Ubisoft's press conference. In fact, I did fall asleep during Ubisoft's press conference, so we'll hope for the best for the rest of the week, but, you know, it's press conference, it's PR, so we know what they're up to. They're up to making sure you buy their games and that they don't sound stupid, because they don't want to have to do any more work than they had to going into E3. So, I will see you all tomorrow. I will be at Haley's house, hopefully tomorrow, doing some cooking with her, so check that out. As always, check out her blog, idiotwithcookbook.blog.com. I cannot stress enough, like, she's amazing when she cooks. So I'm going to go over and help her tomorrow. So until then, see ya.